Welcome to Haunted Horizons GhostCast with Alison Oborn, Craig Cameron and Cag Olwood from Haunted Horizons.
Alright guys, so I'm just going to start running a GhostTube session here now. This is kind of the area I was walking through when my ear went weird, and I've never had anything like this before, and it still feels really gross now. Also, we do have a new feature on GhostTube. Unfortunately, this one at the moment is only available on Android. Poisoned. Android. That's interesting because so poisoned is a little bit relevant because here, the child Sydney, there's some controversy around their death.
A child here, little Sydney. Unfortunately, he passed away when he was 3 years old. His mum and dad used to have a shop here. He unfortunately died through gas poisoning, which his mother was blamed for, but we don't think that she was to blame.
So, welcome to a live, chaotic beginning to the first episode back for 2020 now, isn't it? We've kind of flown 2020. Our special guest tonight is Jarrad from Amy's Crypt.
Hello.
And tonight we're going to talk about apps and all things apps. So, Craig, what do you know about apps before we go to Jarrad? Because people ask us all the time on the tours about apps and what we personally think about apps. Are they any good? Because people do bring them to the tours. And, So what do you know about apps? What do you tell our guests when they talk about apps?
The guests always want to use different apps because they hear about the apps and they see the apps online and they try to play with them. I've always told them that if they want to try to play with them, they can, to see whether they work or not. The biggest problem we've got with apps is that we need control over them, so that if something's coming through on one of the apps and they're getting certain types of reactions on their app with the atmosphere or the environment inside one of the rooms, we don't need to know what's causing it. So there's a real distinction whether it's the app itself or whether it is picking up something environmentally. Yeah. And I think that in a lot of cases...
Sorry, Alison here put a phone on silent.
And I think making that distinction is really hard because there's so many apps which are out there. We have trouble trying to get through the quagmire and work out exactly which ones work, what they do, and whether they're meant to work or not. Mm-hmm. Because we deal with a lot of equipment, and when we deal with the equipment, the hardest thing about it is that they need to interact with each other, and 90% of what we test in the field is pretty dodgy when it comes to the equipment. So taking the apps to the next level, most apps cost only a few bucks, so you're always going to have that value trade-off. And what we're always curious about, especially from the people that make the apps, is what goes into it behind the scenes to see whether it is real, whether it's picking up real things, because from our perspective, if we line up an app with a piece of equipment, they should both go off if they're detecting the same thing. So in some cases that's the case. Some apps are really good, but not all phones have the right sensors in them, not all phones have the right things we need to drive the investigation side of what we do. So usually when we come on our tours, we go back to that default, and the default is using the equipment. So for us, it's what you know and what you trust. And out there at the moment is we're still trying to test out the apps, test out the new equipment to see what works.
See, for me, on the tours, I'm very dubious about using apps, and this is where we're going to pass to Jarrad in a minute because he is a programmer.
Jarrad.
You were so busy.
Jarrad from Amy's Crypt.
Yeah, there you go. You weren't listening. Pay attention, Cam.
Are you awake?
No, I've worked 5 nights in a row.
I've had her in the office all day. I think she's just about brain dead at the moment. So, for me, I've always tended to steer away from apps because, for me, I don't know. They're a programmer thing, and you don't. For me, I don't know if the programmer has just programmed it for entertainment. That it says these things, and it's programmed to say these things. It depends on how much you trust the app, I guess, and how much you would trust the programmer. So I kind of steer away from these apps. I don't know what your feelings are.
I'm the same. I steer away from them. The one or two that I've seen, there's always a ghost somewhere just in front of you. Or it's just to the right, or it's just to the right.
You go looking with a radar.
Little radar.
Exactly. And I did a bit of research today. I did the cheat version of research, and I went on to accessparanormal.com, which is Beth Darlington. Sorry, Beth Darlington, which is our UK correspondent. And she have a read of that because it's really interesting what she's put. But her main concern was people thinking that they've got something in the house, something paranormal going off in the house. And they're using these apps, and a lot of the apps are just going to confirm what they think they've got, even though they probably haven't got anything at all. Because a lot of them will have something. There's a ghost to the right, or there's one to the left, and there's a demonic entity behind you, and that sort of thing.
Yep.
I know.
Oh,
she's at the end. It's all good.
What?
The demonic entity.
I'm just going to have a quick hello to everybody. Charmaine, hello. Maggie,
hello.
Anna, hello.
Everybody.
Zoe, Sonia.
Zoe, missed you.
Two Sonias.
Hey, Sonias. Hello, two Sonias. Neil's on. Karen, Ross, Rosemary, Barbara. Hello. So, if you've got any questions, guys, on apps, do put them here. We will try and get through them all. We might miss a few. If we do miss a question, we'll answer it after we come off air. So we'll go back through them. But now I suppose we'd better look at Jarrad. So Jarrad is a programmer himself. So here we are bashing programmers.
Now I know what you really think.
As we do.
This was an ambush.
And we've tricked Jarrad, saying, oh, we really believe in all these apps. We're really interested. But Jarrad has actually made his own ghost hunting app. So I don't know if you want to tell us about
Yes, so I guess we should just start full disclosure that it is my app, so I'm only going to have good things to say. So my app's called GhostTube, and if anyone that's tuning in that watches my wife's or follows my wife's paranormal journey, Amy's Crypt, would have seen us using this app in our videos and at some of our investigations. Some of them at some of your locations as well.
Yes. And I must admit, I have maybe played it in Tasmania when we went over. We had a little play with it.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
We did.
So I guess what started it for us was we were travelling around Wales, I think it was, when the idea was conceived. And we were travelling just out of backpacks, and so one of the challenges we had was not having room to store the devices. So you've seen Amy's kit now; it's like a big suitcase full of stuff, just like yours.
And bigger,
but at the time we didn't have that luxury, so it was a good way for us to kind of consolidate everything into one that we could just carry, and we always had it with us. And because we built it ourselves, we know how it works, so we trusted it more than some of the other apps. But that's not to say that there's no other legitimate apps out there, but it was why we personally trusted it a bit more.
You personally, I guess, did it for a purpose and to serve a purpose, because you are investigators yourself.
It definitely started like that. But I mean, as it grew, we because at first it was just going to be something Amy used, but then we realised that there was some benefit for others because, as you mentioned, it is a bit cheaper than some of the paranormal equipment, as we found when we started investing in some devices. They can be quite pricey. So it turned into something that we wanted to share because it was an opportunity to give some people an opportunity to have something that's a bit more affordable. So.
Yeah. And obviously, as I said, it's a lot easier to, because like Cag and me will go overseas with Craig as well, and we'll take our kits, and it takes up most of the suitcase, really.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is we take so much. You have a big bag of stuff, I have a smaller one. Then you're concerned about it going through, go up to the plane, through customs. You can guarantee they've always opened it and had a look at it because they think it's some sort of bomb-making equipment. And you get a nice little love letter to say they've had a look for it.
I've been called out at an airport when we Michigan Paracon. Is there an Ellison Oborn here? And it's like, oh, they found my suitcase. I guess with a phone and an app, you don't have that problem.
I don't think Amy's game enough to put her equipment through check-in, so she just carries it on board. It's more valuable than everything else she's got.
So we can understand that. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, like I did, that programmers, it's for entertainment. Programmers just program words to come out every now and again, so it's all programmed responses. Others say that a lot of these apps use the microphone itself, so the app already knows what you're saying.
So
it knows what you're talking about, it knows your name, it knows pretty much all your ins and outs. So there's a lot of argument against apps. I mean, as a programmer, what exactly are you using in the phone?
Yeah.
How do you make...
What sensors are, what hardware
What sensors are being
Yep.
used in the phone that you've actually worked with to make it a genuine...
Yep. So there's a few different sensors. I'll try to cover the main ones that most phones have, and there are some that you mentioned as well. That not all phones have all of these pieces of hardware. So the first one is magnetometer. So most phones most modern phones have a magnetometer, and the reason why they have them, the intended purpose for the magnetometer was actually for navigation apps. So Google Maps and those sort of applications use it as a compass. So that was its primary intention, but what it can do is it can be used to detect electromagnetic fluctuations as well. So it can be used for that purpose. And you would have seen some apps on the market that can be used to detect like pins in the wall and that sort of thing, and it uses the exact same sensor.
Alright.
So that's probably one of the main ones that you've seen in some of these apps. Microphone and camera, of course, we use them in all of our investigations for people that like to record their evidence. So of course, most phones now actually have really good cameras. Even the cheaper scale phones tend to take pretty good photos and record pretty decent videos now as well. So
we tend to use our phones over...
You don't even bother taking
I don't
camera,
take my
do you?
SLR travelling with me anymore, which I used to
Yeah.
do. It's because you can get really good photos on the phone.
EVP recorders and
Yeah.
things like that. You can use that as an alternative if you don't have a separate voice recorder. Yep. So there's that. One of the latest ones we've been experimenting with is the proximity sensor. So most phones have an infrared light that is normally located at the very top of the phone, just here. And it's the thing that turns your screen off when you put it to your ear to stop you from cheek dialing people while you're on the phone. So just like some of the other paranormal equipment that you use, a paranormal music box, for example, has an infrared light at the front, and if something interrupts that or play a song, that sensor can also be used. Mind you, it can only pick up within a few centimetres, but it can also pick up something that interrupts that infrared light. So they're the main sensors that it uses.
Because you've just added that to GhostTube?
Yeah, the Android version just put it in there. Still working on the iPhone. Apple's
so what's the basis behind having that incorporated in the app? Is it so that you can try and get a ghost to touch it? Or?
Yeah, well, so all of the sensors that GhostTube uses are based on existing theories. So we didn't invent anything new. So the theory that a spirit can manifest and interrupt an infrared light, for example, that's been seen in some of those devices that we mentioned just before. The electromagnetic reader, you see similar functionality in a K2. So they're all based on existing theories. There's nothing new that we've, in terms of theories about the other side that we've incorporated into the app. So
also with EMF, don't know about you, but I always said the phone isn't an EMF meter. Like if you have a K2 or if you have the Mel meter, it's not going to do the same job. So, but obviously a phone does pick up EMF because it obviously picks up radio frequencies.
Well, yeah, I mean for the purpose of making phone calls, definitely it does do that. Mind you, it probably works differently or works in different frequencies than some of the other devices that you use because it's defined for a purpose, which is to make phone calls primarily, right?
Yeah.
But otherwise,
Okay.
So
what we got? Oh, hello, Renata. And Paul and Sandy.
Shane Potter said earlier, can you do an app to protect you from all the evil things that Amy makes you do?
I don't think there's any app out there that can do that.
Stick you in cages. And for all those who are watching, Amy is just sitting over on the other side there.
She's heckling.
Yeah,
she's enjoying the fact that it's me on camera for a change.
For a change,
yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Don't worry, we'll have you on another week.
Yeah.
Actually, we might talk to Jarrad's point of view on Amy's Crypt soon. Once we get off the apps.
It comes out. Yeah.
Let's have the behind the scenes on Amy's Crypt from Jarrad's point of view for all those. And by the way, guys, if you've never heard of Amy's Crypt, go look it up. These two guys, they travel to places around the world that Kag and me would never go.
No, there's no way.
And not because they're scary, because of the ghosts. It's like we treasure our life and we're scared of the living, so...
These guys are young, they still think they're going to live forever. We know that
you've been mugged, haven't you?
Mugged, that happened. I did get mugged, yeah. It was a pretty weak mug, Amy would admit. She probably thinks I could have just fought back, but
You didn't.
I didn't, just to be on the safe side.
Saved your life.
Yeah.
So, Sonia, Jarrad's GhostTube app is great. So, really, what are all the different features on your app? And are you going to be putting anything else on there?
Yeah, so we've talked about a few of them. So it's got the electromagnetic meter, the EMF meter. We've got the sound wave, which is just your mic, and it draws a spectrograph, so you can see the sounds that you're recording, which is useful for EVPs. It does have the Ghost Dictionary, and that's probably the most experimental part of the app, in a similar vein to the Ovilus out of all the paranormal equipment as well. That uses the same sensor, I should add, as the electromagnetic. So it uses the raw readings from the magnetic.
Alright, so it's doing what the Ovilus does, because obviously that reads
environmental
factors and then turns it into words. So you've got the same.
So pre-populated dictionary of words and that EMF reader. If what the raw values of that equals one of the numbers we've assigned to the pre-populated dictionary, it'll just say the word.
Yeah.
So that can be influenced by electromagnetic interference as well. Just like the EMF reader can also. The proximity sensor we've just introduced, and we do have big plans for GhostTube, so there is some more features that we want to add. Some of them I can't really share some of them at the moment just because we're too early in development and we're not sure if they're going to actually turn into something. We're experimenting with some different sensors. Obviously we're limited to the sensors that are in the phone.
But there's exciting ones coming.
There is exciting features coming, yeah, for sure.
Excellent, I look forward to it.
Yeah.
So, Kerry is asking, I'm not sure of the difference, and I'm having to read these out, guys. I know you can read them there because these guys don't all see them. I'm not sure of the difference between an app and any other ITC device. They all seem to rely on context a lot other than randomness. I like the new neatness alarm on Jarrad's app.
Oh, thanks, Kerry. Yeah.
So, I mean, can you explain the difference on that one too, Kerry? Or maybe Craig can?
Well, I was just going to make a comment on ITC. That's
Excellent.
about communication.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is you're using any sort of technique, and it's usually audio, to try to get some sort of recording and see what the communication from the other side is. The other sensors you're using are usually to monitor the environment. So what you're doing, you're picking up EM, you're picking up ultrasonics, you're picking up whatever else might change the environment. So the theory behind them is that whatever interacts with us has to interact with the environment.
Right.
What we need something that's going to detect that, and then something that you can use in ITC. So something that can communicate once you know something's there. So for me, if you've been on night investigations, there's always a two-step approach. The first step is working out whether something's there or not. Using ITC when nothing's there is more hit and miss. You don't know whether anything's there to communicate. I've always been interested. I'm just interested with Charmaine's comment there with the Ovilus, because the Ovilus for me is one of those really interesting ones, because when you're dealing with an Ovilus you've got a 2,000 word dictionary, and the pre-programming of those words to hit certain algorithms is really one of the things where you're always wrestling with. You get a word out of it, how relevant is the word going to be? Because sometimes you can ask a question and the Ovilus will answer it, and sometimes you've been holding the Ovilus and the name of the person holding it's come out. It's happened to me 3 times in 5 years, so it's actually really interesting when you get that. The thing is, how can you manipulate that environment if you're on the other side to get exactly the right word out?
Or do they? Do they actually manipulate the EMF fields? I've always wondered this. Do they actually manipulate the EMF fields, if ghosts can manipulate novelists? Or do they just manipulate the device itself with the words?
Is the Ovilus, do they, and I don't know the answer to this, that's why I'm asking, do they provide insight into which environmental factors they monitor and how it sort of equates to a word that it says? Are they quite transparent about that?
The answer to that is a little bit, because the transparency is really difficult to work out. You know the word list, you know the order of the word list, you know that they will claim to use the changes in EM fields or the EM flux. And
Did you just say something else then?
Was there a beep for that?
there was an
Is that
L in
beep?
it's an EM flux. There's an L in there.
Sorry.
And it's that which they can manipulate to get out certain words, but so can we. So if we stand with a device and we make that field to a certain degree, so that word number 25 comes out of it, we can do that ourselves. Question is, how good are our ghosts at doing it? And I think that's always the one thing that, you always wrestle with it. And the Iovolus is no different to having the word list in any of them.
And so is GhostTube. GhostTube only has 500 words compared to the 2,000. But
are you going to put more words into it?
I thought about it. To be honest, it's actually technically a bit more than 500 because if you're in different language, I've translated them to different languages as well. So I don't know if that counts. Same words but different languages.
I would go with that.
Well, in that case, it's 20 languages times by 500 words. Yeah, but not at the moment. Not at the moment. Unless we get feedback that people want to customize even the dictionary. Maybe that's something we've thought about doing as well. Cool. Because again, if the word's not in there, then obviously it can't be selected as well, which is another thing. Like if so that's another reason. Like should they be? If 2,000 words isn't that many when you think of how many words there are, nor is 500 on GhostTube. So it's sort of like that's another limitation, I suppose.
Mel's got a question. To investigate, we need to turn off phones or put on flight mode so it doesn't interfere with the equipment. So we always tell our guys to put them on flight mode, turn them off. How does that affect the GhostTube? Yeah,
that's a really good question. I would say that the magnetic readings that come in through the phones are calibrated to take into account the phone's own what they're giving off. Sorry. Yeah. But in saying that, it's not a bad idea to turn flight mode on. I would agree with that.
Can you still use YouTube if you're on
GhostTube? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe so. I believe so. Yeah. Yep. Actually, that's not a bad idea to have an alert that reminds you, hey, you're not on flight mode. Would you like to be on flight mode? I think there was a reason I didn't.
I think that's what Mel was asking. Is do you have to have it on?
So to answer the question, you don't have to have it on for GhostTube because the readings it relies on take into account the phone's own, I'm going to call it radiation, but I don't know if that's the right word, its own
EM field.
Yeah, exactly. But it also couldn't hurt to turn off to rule out that possibility, right? Because when you're using devices like Ovilus or this, or any device for that matter, you've always got to think about, are we ruling out environmental factors that are triggering this rather than something that could be paranormal? So
that's a good question.
And it applies to GhostTube as well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we were test driving the paranormal puck a little while ago as well, and the biggest issue we had with the puck is it's okay if you have it standalone, but you need your phone to activate it, so you always got a Bluetooth signal going to it, and the Bluetooth is always affecting your readings on here and the other equipment as well. So whilst you can control the one app, you can't control the other pieces of equipment because your phone is technically off flight mode. So you can never get every piece of equipment interacting with each other the way you want to, which is a bit of a bugger.
That's true.
Any more questions?
We've had what have we got here? Rosemary, Amy's Crypt is awesome. And Vicky, love Amy's Crypt.
Shane, it's good to hear Jarrad talking for a change.
Thank you, Shane. I don't like talking on camera normally.
He's not enjoying this. I dragged him on. That's why he's usually behind the camera, not in front of it. So it's very special that he's come in today. So, keep asking questions if you've got any questions about apps or anything like that. We might just shift across to Amy's Crypt.
Uh-oh. What do you want to know about Amy's Crypt?
What's behind the scenes here? That's all right, isn't it, Amy? We can. Yeah, there we go. We'll get more in depth off you later.
She can't say no, can she?
I'll give you the inside scoop.
The inside scoop on Amy's Crypt. Yep. So. Okay, so you've been saying, I'm just going to look here. Actually, we're just going to say, we know what Amy
we didn't rehearse this, Amy.
No, we didn't. Amy's going to come on and talk about Amy's Crypt, please. Yep, excellent. So she'll be on probably in a few weeks. Oh, you're going away to Tasmania, aren't you? So yeah.
She'll be on.
So you won't be back for, how long are you going away for?
I'm not going away to Tasmania.
Oh.
No, she's going away with her mum.
You're leaving Jarrad behind.
Yeah.
So
holiday.
Nice. That's what we do, isn't it, Kag?
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
It's we often leave our husbands behind. We do. So you've been around the world, obviously, and I know you're behind the camera, but you're still probably in these places experiencing. For you, have you had anything that really has made you go, the paranormal exists? Have you had any experiences that really blew you away? So
firstly, I'm still quite sceptical, but there have been a few things where I definitely was like, that was pretty cool. And Amy's probably covered these on her channel all the time, because quite often when she'll talk about, you know, experiences that we were really wowed by or whatever, when she makes a video like that, like normally it echoes, normally we're on the same page, we both kind of agree with a lot of them anyway. I guess the one that really stands out to me is probably the mansion we went to in Malaysia, the 99 door mansion it was called. And it was this, I'm probably going to get the facts wrong. Amy's the researcher here, not me, but it's
I have put him on the spot. So
100 or 200 year old house. It used to be owned by someone that owned a plantation, I believe.
Right.
And there were some deaths there, which spawned some of these ghost stories about this place. So we went to investigate this place, and we stayed there till night time, as you do. And there was this grand staircase going up the centre of this this mansion, and halfway up the staircase it was barbed wired off so that you couldn't walk up there because the roof was collapsing from termites and stuff like that. And we heard something in the next room, which could have been bat or something like that. So we went to go look in that room. We had the camera rolling at the time, and then right behind us, that staircase, something just ran up the staircase, and we both heard it. It was really loud. This isn't like a really small tap that you hear and go, oh, did you hear that? We definitely both heard like someone running up the staircase.
So it wasn't like an animal, or
well, it was. The thing is, we didn't see, other than like, you know, bats and that, there was nothing that big that could have caused that sound, and the barbed wire halfway up the staircase as well. You know, it just did make sense. And if you actually watch a video, I think you see my reaction. I was like, that was actually pretty cool. I was like genuinely wowed by that. And I don't know what that was. And I guess the reasonable explanation, if you're trying to justify, is, it could have been an animal, but we were there all day, and there's no way an animal that big, like a goat or something, could run past us without us knowing. Like, so that was really cool.
Okay, scariest experience.
Scariest experience. I'm guessing I can't use the same
one. Really doubted yourself being.
A lot of the scary experiences weren't paranormal related. They were being chased by a dog, encountering a constrictor python, swarmed by bats, birds, that sort of thing. Chased by a German Shepherd in Germany also happened. So getting mugged in Germany.
If you're going to be chased by a German Shepherd, that's the place to be, isn't it?
Getting the mugging in wherever that was. There's definitely been some scary stories.
We all need to know about the python. We're all dying to know about the python.
The python was, we just filmed at an abandoned army, like a battery on an island, and we were walking home in the middle of the night. And that night we had walked to the battery in complete darkness, because sometimes we like to do that. It's just nice to walk in nature and just walk, no lights on, because the moonlight sort of lights the path. And for some reason on our way back we decided to have our torches on us, because we were spooked by some birds that swooped us earlier, so we had our torches on. And luckily we did, because on the way back there was this massive wild constrictor python. We were in the Philippines, and there was this wild python that took up the width of the road. And we would have just stepped on that. So I don't know about you, but I don't think I'd want to be stepping on a constrictor python on an island where there's no hospital, no electricity, that sort of thing. So
one of our guides is actually
a snake handler.
The snake handler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, was a qualified. I don't think he does it now, but he's called qualified snake handler.
Mind you, a python would be.
We'll have to get some tips
on.
Huge
great python would be like
survival tips.
Mikey's not exactly the biggest person.
Probably
wrestling
like 3 times the
pythons.
size of him. People have said the video is glitchy. Is it still glitchy? Let us know if it's still lagging and still glitchy. So, were you on your? Because we're working on your phone. Did we put it on Wi-Fi or did we? Alright, so or your data. That's alright. If it's on data, then maybe it's. Is it okay though? If it's lagging a bit, it's all caught up. Good, Rosemary. If the video does lag a bit, don't worry, because this is all going to go up. We are videotaping it as well, so we will put it up on YouTube. It'll be a much crisper, cleaner version. So. Probably won't have us mucking around at the beginning trying to get this stuff up and running. You get all the.
So Mel said she watched the episode the other day and it was huge. I think she's talking about the snake.
Yeah. I thought she meant the episode was huge. I was like, I think it was average sized episode. Great.
You've seen the snake. I've yet to see that one. So Ian said it's working fine.
What's funny is, as soon as we saw the snake, Amy's reaction, both of our reaction, wasn't to run. It was to quick, get the camera, film it.
There's lots of people saying as well, we need some more Jarrad cam.
Yes.
Yeah, Jarrad cam. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Jarrad cam.
So are we. I love it. And it breaks the episode. Well, we weren't because we've been. I think it breaks the episodes up really well that Amy's in one spot, especially when you did the Z board one.
Yeah.
And you've got Amy in the cell 2, and it's all happening down there, and you're just like this, going like trying to get the ball.
Oh yeah, it wasn't turned on. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That elevator music in the background.
I think that my favourite, the funniest in hindsight, the funniest Jarrad cam was probably the first one we did, which was I think at a place in Ireland called the Dublin Hellfire Club.
Oh, okay.
And there was this local legend that if you walk backwards around this old building 3 times, that the devil will appear or something. There's some legend like that. And so of course Amy was like, oh, we're gonna do, Jarrad, I'm gonna make you do this. She swears she told me, but I swear she didn't. But I walked around forwards 3 times, and then she's like, oh wait, you're supposed to do it backwards. So I ended up walking around this thing 6 times, in the pitch black, backwards, tripping over things, slipping on the wet grass. So it's probably the funniest one actually.
Well, I've got to go and look at them.
Did the devil come out? No, it didn't.
No.
But she's come out with more clever ways to rope me in some of these more crazy
which
legends.
we're all very appreciative of. More Jarrad cam, they're saying. They love it. Okay, chance to make a compilation. Dale says, is there any chance of making a compilation video of all the things? I thought you had you?
She does do compilation videos from time to time. If you mean compilation videos of Jarrad cam moments,
oh yes, we'd love
maybe
to see those.
maybe one day.
That would be a great idea.
It's not bad, isn't it? You bring him on and then he just takes over.
Yeah. I think that would be a great idea. We should. You should do a compilation on
maybe.
Jarrad cam.
Maybe.
I think that'd be great.
Yeah, maybe.
In the pig's cage.
So Sandy's saying that she loves the YouTube.
Oh, thanks, Sandy.
Things that happened. That's great. And going back to the YouTube, GhostTube, you're going to slap me soon because...
That's right.
Going back to GhostTube, what would be your most outstanding thing that you've had happen on that while you've been investigating?
We've had a few things that have been quite relevant and quite meaningful to us. We've had, just recently we were filming at an old farmhouse in South Australia somewhere. And I won't give the details because it hasn't aired on Amy's channel yet.
Yeah.
And I believe Amy asked, "Where are you?" and it responded with, it picked one of the phrases from the dictionary, which was like "behind you." So some of the dictionary, I think there's about 10 or so location-based words like behind you or to the left, like things like that. In case that there is someone that's trying to communicate, that's trying to describe where something is, and that came up right after she asked where you were. So that was really interesting. We've been in the Cemetery of the Nameless in Vienna. It's a cemetery that's dedicated to anonymous bodies that are found in the Danube River that they can't identify.
Okay.
And Amy asked, what your name was, being the Cemetery of the Nameless, would ask what the name was, and the name Constantine came through, which was like a common name in the area, which is really cool.
Yeah.
There's not. There have been others that just on the spot. It's hard to come up with some other examples. I've also had people share experiences with me where they've asked certain things that were quite relevant to the location they were investigating as well. So we get some of those through from time to time also. So it's quite interesting. And actually, one of your locations at the Adelaide Arcade, when the word poisoned came through in relation to the story of Sydney and her mother. So
that was another one that came through. Yeah, we were. If you haven't watched the episode, go and watch it. Because, it came up with poison. Of course, there's that little boy, Sydney, who he was poisoned by the coal gas, but his mother, about 6 weeks later or whatever, poisoned herself.
She was poisoned. Yeah. She actually poisoned herself, or somebody did. She was poisoned, we don't know how.
Yeah.
So it was a very relevant word to have come out when we were at the arcade.
Actually, another one I will share is not my own, but actually Amy's in-laws, my in-laws, so Amy's parents, when they went to England to visit some relatives, one of their by-marriage brothers, brother-in-law, one of their brother-in-laws was asking, what's my mother's name, and just random names like that, and it actually came up with the name, which I think was Brenda, if I'm not mistaken. And you could say, that might have been a coincidence, maybe the fluctuations just, picked that word, But what was really interesting about it is that that name came up 4 times in a row. I wasn't there for it, and they weren't recording, they were just using it, so I don't have it, but they said that it came up 4 times.
Yeah.
And knowing how the numbers, the fluctuations come in, the electromagnetic rate is sort of always fluctuating. Naturally, there's always a little bit of stuff going on, but obviously you only make it alert when it's a significant jump, right?
Yeah.
So there's always a little bit going on. So to have the number come up 4 times consecutively like that is actually quite unusual.
Okay.
Yeah. If I was to log all of the raw numbers coming out, it would be rare to see the same thing come up 4 times in a row.
So, have you used any other, before you made GhostTube, did you use any of the other apps or?
Not really, actually. To be honest, echoing some of the things you were saying at the beginning of this conversation and your views towards them, I think it's safe to say, I don't want to put words in Amy's mouth, but
from a programmer's point of
we
view.
were probably quite sceptical of them as well and hesitant to use them. And it wasn't until, I had a bit of coding experience already, but it wasn't until I started looking into what sense could actually be used in the devices to actually replicate some of the other devices that already are out there that I started looking into building my own app. And obviously I trust something that it's like your pizza, you know what's on top of your own pizza if you make it yourself, they said that. So it's a little bit like that for me.
And also with the apps, the ones that the other ones that are already out there, just actually say for entertainment.
It does, and you always wonder, when something says for entertainment only and for use, then you tend to think it's for parties and stuff like that, where you can go and not so much for a serious investigation. And also the accuracy of these devices, I suppose, with the EMF meters because they sell the phones as EMF meters. And for me, I would say, well, if that was so good at picking up the EMF, and the electricians would just use your phones, they wouldn't go and buy all this expensive equipment.
To be honest, I would say that I would probably agree that the sensors in the phone weren't intended for paranormal investigating. That's not what their intent was. Whereas an EMF reader, a K2 meter, was intended for that purpose. So to be saying that there probably is a difference in accuracy, but like you said earlier, if there's a free app versus what's a K2 meter worth now, $40, $50, $80, there you go. So if you're someone that's just starting out, just wants to experiment with something, then it still actually does have the functionality. So that's
I guess put it near a microwave and see how it works on the app.
Or near another phone or something like that, and you should be able to and actually that's a good way when you're using apps in general. It's a good way to sort of test whether they're I guess working as they're claiming to. You start holding it near things and seeing if it reacts.
You want to make sure, right?
Yeah,
you want to make sure
absolutely.
They're working properly.
Absolutely.
I think one of the biggest problems with the apps and why they write entertainment value only is because in certain areas, in certain countries, what they're finding is if people are using them thinking they're seriously speaking to a spirit. So like Jarrad said, you might be wandering around your house and you'd be trying to work out who's there and who's haunting your place. All of a sudden it comes through and says something and you have a mental breakdown on the back of that, then you can sue the people that are making this stuff.
So it could be illegality. In that case, I better update my description too. I will add though to that, GhostTube's actually in the entertainment category on the App Store, and the main reason for that was they don't have a paranormal category, sadly. So it's weird to find a place that, it's not a health app, so they've got these categories, and you have to put it somewhere. You have to select one. And so if anyone's wondering why it's there, that's why.
That's why.
Yeah. So.
That's interesting.
Just catching up with your questions, guys. So, Margaret, Jarrad, love your videos. Lots of spooky and really funny types.
And you'll be very pleased to hear that. Thank you.
There's a lot of Jarrad bloopers. People wanting.
There's definitely some stuff that we haven't aired that we could definitely put together.
Bloopers is a common question coming up, and Jarrad can compilations. So.
To be honest, there are probably some bloopers we could put together. But to be honest, what you see on quite often, Amy would include in her videos the funny stuff that happens and the crazy stuff that happens because it's sort of part of it.
Who you are, and I think that's great because it shows your personality.
Yeah. So to be honest, there wouldn't be there is some things I'm sure that Amy's been stashing away for a rainy day, but I definitely think that she likes to put in some of that stuff anyway. So you will see me in silly situations or something like that anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Which one's that?
So Alicia used GhostTube Xmas time at my nan's place, came out with grandfather and table. Okay.
Oh yeah,
But
but his ashes were on the table.
Okay.
at the time, so
Yeah.
what a huge
That's
coincidence.
pretty- yeah, that is cool.
That is cool. Yeah, Nicole says that she's a belief of the same thing, that they're not accurate.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I must admit, because when I was investigating with you guys, or
Yep.
when you doing
Yeah.
filming in this Crypt, and they came, should we do this app? And I was like, app. They've mentioned the word app.
they mentioned that.
Dun,
I
dun,
know,
dun.
but then you explained what you've done with it and
Yeah.
how it works, and
Yeah.
that was actually, do you know what, that was pretty cool.
And to be honest, we never just rely on GhostTube.
No,
anyway.
you don't.
Like we do with all the paranormal equipment, we'd like to try to use multiple, because if you get responses on more than one thing, that's more compelling than just an app that says something or a motion to sensor that goes off. Like if you pair evidence with other things, it's more compelling than just one thing on its own.
And I think what's interesting as well is the fact that you've done that and you're in the field, that you're going out there, you want something that works.
Yeah.
And and that's what I like, the fact that we know you're in the field, and
Yeah. To be honest, another benefit of using some apps, GhostTube included, is because you can record the readings on screen. One of the challenges we have when we're filming, and especially me when I'm behind the camera on Amy's Crypt, is Amy's doing something over here and she's using a device over there, but something over here is going off and I've got to quickly go like this and you miss it. Like you're never pointing the camera in the right
Can you
direction.
just mention that to my boss, please, that you never point again? It does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is hard. And so I guess one thing that this does is, because it's got the things on screen, it doesn't matter what way you're pointing the camera, you'll capture that evidence on camera. So that's another, I guess, benefit to some of them, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, at least Jarrad doesn't just get a wall, a corner, a backside, toes
What's wrong with
for half
toes?
an hour.
I will say,
Paranormal toes.
if it makes you feel any better, Karen, Amy edits all of her videos, so I'm sure I also get a lot of toes, backsides and walls as well.
I think it
Actually, I think in a lot of episodes there's a lot of Amy's backsides. I'm following her through some tunnel and...
But Amy has a nicer backside than like Cag and me. Craig probably is alright as well.
Amy's shaking her head for everyone at home.
Oh dear.
Oh, they were cleaning out the cat balls. Everybody loves the cat balls.
Loves
as
the cat
well.
balls.
Jarrad doesn't use boob cam.
Oh,
You just had to go there.
Yeah, you see, you'd be alright using it. We have an issue with the body cams that we've got, and I have to call it a boob cam, because once you've got my shirt on, no, I'm not wearing a shirt today. So when you put your camera in there, it's now then facing upwards. So if anything happens, you've then got to lean forward and do that.
Yeah.
So that's why I call it my boob cam.
Yeah. We've had some crazy awkward moments where I'm holding a camera and a light and I've got like something else in my mouth, like trying to hold all these things at once. It's quite hard to record in the...
I did that once. We had something going off at Tatum, didn't I? So I had a handheld in one hand, and then there was this another static camera, and I was trying to move the static camera around at the same time whilst watching them. Jerry,
You actually did a good
awkward.
job.
I did.
And then your videotaping went downhill. She's just started working for me, that's why.
Yeah.
So she needed to impress the boss.
Then I got the job, and I was like,
And then it just went downhill from there. Her video was like,
Mine is sensational. My video is great.
I don't use a tripod though, Greg.
Well, I use one
That's
because
when
why it's
that's
still.
when you remember to take the tripod out the hallway to where you're actually working.
Well, that's where the ghosts are. They're not going to be in with us, are they? They're going to be out in the hallway. You investigate the hallways. That's where they all congregate.
Meanwhile, I can hear things going off in the distance. It's not on video.
We're getting so many comments about the cat balls.
Cat balls.
Of all
Cat
the
balls.
equipment,
Cat
right?
balls.
We talk about apps
Everyone
and
loves
expensive
cat balls.
stuff. Would have been great.
As when we were out, it would have been great to have Jarrad's
Jarrad's.
app when we were at the Adelaide jail last year. I have to try it up at Fremantle Prison,
Yeah,
and then let you know how it goes.
Yeah. I guess the only thing
I mean,
I'd say
feedback
is...
would be great on how
for,
you find it.
for you guys, I can imagine that sometimes when people use apps, does it interrupt sometimes your tour?
It does for us.
So I guess I'd just say it's great that you want to use the app, and I'd love to hear how it goes, but maybe just wait till after the tour before you look there. Because actually,
we should have app time.
app time,
Maybe free
App time.
times app time.
app free time. Yeah.
We could give app time, and then we can say to people, "Well, give it a try. not just your app.
Yeah.
If you've got apps you want to try, then we can try and either debunk those apps.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
See if they work.
No, get them to try everybody else's thing.
Like
now
EMF
try Jarrad's.
Exactly. And now try a real programmer's. Yeah, that could be good. We could have an app tonight.
And then we might be able to have a bit of a sideline there. Just pushing his thing.
Yeah. How much is under the table? You can pay us later, Jarrad.
Yeah, no, that sounds cool.
But sorry,
Yeah.
love the cat balls. Cat.
Yes, everyone loves the cat balls.
Let's get to it. There we go. Oh yeah, that's the other thing. That's a good idea, Neil. Neil's just said that maybe they can use the app in lockdown. So, and that's actually a good idea because then it can't interfere. Because obviously having your screen on all the time, it puts a lot of light out.
Yep.
But I guess that would be a good idea. That's a good trade-off that people can sit in their own cell in lockdown and give these apps a try, and then we can give feedback. So.
One of the challenges Amy had at the beginning when we made GhostTube was that when the EMF reader went off, it didn't have any audio alert. So if she wasn't looking at it, she wouldn't know that it went off until later. So now, happy hour. That's a good name.
Adam, love it. Adam,
that
love
is
it.
brilliant. I love that.
Happy hour.
We're going to have happy hour.
Does that include? Can we make it a happy hour?
I'm going to steal.
yeah.
I'm going to steal that, Adam.
happy hour, I reckon.
Yeah. That's cool.
BYOB.
Cool.
Any of your venues licensed?
No, unfortunately, no.
that
So it just have to be a regular happy hour.
We
then.
used to have it. St Cecilia's used to be licensed.
Yeah, it did,
She actually used to sell alcohol. But yeah, unfortunately.
And if anyone uses apps too much, we can have apps anonymous.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. We can come up with all sorts.
So anyone that uses an app during a tour has to go to Apps Anonymous after.
Yes.
Be deprogrammed.
Yeah.
Deprogram for using your apps. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mitch just asked where you get the cat balls from. You get them from eBay. Just be careful how much you pay.
Yeah, some people have cashed in on it.
Yes.
They've realised what's going on. You don't have to pay $20. What's it called? That was a rip-off. I'm going to say it. That was a rip-off.
It was $25 and it was a
sphere.
Very cool.
A
something.
light sphere. A paranormal something light sphere.
Yeah.
And they were charging $25 for it. All it was a $1.60 cat ball. Do not get ripped off.
I think we paid, after shipping, we paid about $5 per ball because we had to pay
so
shipping.
it's gone up.
But yeah, but
Demand,
$5 or less.
Yeah, I mean, demand will make things going up. And I think they're starting to realise that people are buying them in bulk suddenly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, on average, about $2.40 is what I pay when I find them. So
All the cat toy companies are probably thinking, has there just been an influx in cats?
Everybody's buying kittens
around the world.
Amy also bought all of her nieces and nephews them for their birthdays because they were wanted one after watching a video. So,
And actually,
an economic gift.
I will say that because we went to England 2 years ago, wasn't it? Something like that. And I showed it on my talk when I did it when Ben came over. But what got the cat balls, or us interested in the cat balls, was one of the jails we went to. Where was that? That was the
Shepton Mallet.
Shepton Mallet Jail prison. And we had a glass on a table, and there was only Cag, me, and this other couple who were very nice, very trustworthy. And we had the finger lightly on there, and the ball just started to flash and then started to rotate around this glass like this. And because I was kind of not thinking anything would happen, because we were with a big group tour, I got the video camera and I just caught the tail end of it, and I'm standing there going, I've got to get myself one of those. And that's kind of how we tracked down the balls and started using them all those years ago. So
Ian says, Craig, mate, don't want to get too personal, but you've got something strange hanging out of your pocket.
Do you want to explain the green thing in your pocket?
Well, I think our regular viewers will know all about it, especially
we
that watch
have-
the live
we have
feed from
non-
Loch Ness.
We have non-regular viewers.
Well, non-regular viewers, this came from Loch Ness. This came from last year when we were up there, and we decided to buy some souvenirs, and the little Loch Ness monster has decided to come with us wherever we go.
And then we've got the Muckle Coo.
A couple of good Scottish things, just like Cag.
Cag is half Scottish. She denies it.
3/4 Scottish.
No, I'm not.
I reckon she's all, but...
So
No,
these little
I'm
fellas
not.
go with us everywhere, and for all our investigations and all of our podcasts.
Trina, maybe it's the ghost cats, and that's why the balls move.
That's a good theory.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
We think it's ghosts, but maybe it's the cats. So I'm going into all sorts of wondrous theories here.
The dogs chase the ghost cats. That's why dogs are so sensitive to things.
Maybe.
They sniff out the ghost cats.
Yeah. Is that why they're looking for alien spaceships as well?
Well, no, that's down near Gawler, isn't it?
All right, so have we got any more questions on apps? Or for Jarrad? I think everybody's just voted Jarrad needs to be in a...
16 cats and kittens at the moment, and I love playing with them balls. I've got a cat and she's not allowed to touch them. So, yeah, bless her.
When editing, Amy's got to always cut out, because whenever you talk about the cat balls, if you exclude the word cat, sometimes there's been some I guess there could be some blippers there where we've had to be like, wait, we need to just say that again because it sounded inappropriate for
playing with your balls.
Yeah, that's what I found myself saying, just going to come and play with my balls, and I'm like, that's really, you can't,
cut.
Or you say to your guests, has everybody picked up my balls? I hope you've all got my balls.
It's a different job at tour.
That's Horny Horizons.
If you are going to buy anything, I'd recommend buying more than one though, because they're prone to being stepped on and they're quite
kicked around and
they're just plastic, so
you
they
can't replace the battery very easily either.
I didn't really could replace them at all.
Michael did manage to,
But the
battery was more expensive than the
ball.
balls. they are disposable balls. Don't think they'll last forever. They won't. So.
Can I just
Rosemary, that's a good one.
It is.
The 16 cats one or the
No.
black one? Oh, the black-eyed children one.
Has Jarrad and Amy ever seen black-eyed children on their travels?
Not that I recall.
No.
Yeah.
We have to shout across to Amy. Have you seen any children ghosts?
She has shaken her head. No black-eyed children. Yeah.
No.
So
Actually, Amy on an interview that we did on 5AA the other night actually did say she'd seen a ghost child, which we'll get her on later. Can I just ask, did it have black eyes?
I don't think so.
No.
It looks like a normal child.
Okay.
normal
She
child.
was
Looks like a
inside
normal
as
child.
well.
I'm
Normal
gonna-
ghost
you
child.
probably can't hear over there. She said, no, it looks like a normal child.
But she was inside.
Yeah.
Normally they're asking
To come in,
Yeah.
Usually on the outside.
So that's a bit
Yeah.
eerie.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, black-eyed children give me the creeps. Protect your balls, Kay. Alright, if we've not got any more questions, and if Craig hasn't got any questions,
I haven't got any more questions.
no, nothing more to say about apps.
Well, I'm waiting for the Ultimate app to come out. That
The
replaces
Ultimate.
all the equipment. So we can put phones all around and be done.
I'm waiting for
phones
the
can
Ultimate
video.
app as well, that can replace all the guides.
Okay, hurry up.
And then I don't have to pay wages.
Well, I'm waiting for that too. Can we bring them out?
No.
So they're going to get the weekend off.
So, but until
So
that
if we
day,
can call
unfortunately.
Self-guided tours. Huh?
Yes, I'll go to tours
Yeah.
with your app. Yeah.
I like the sound of that.
No, that's something you could add to Ghost.
New feature.
GhostTube. Yeah.
New feature.
I'd buy
Look
that.
out, guys.
It'd be cheaper than just take this. Pretend it's CAG. So, any questions about apps?
No, I haven't got any questions. Just give it a go. Just go on, give it a go, and see how you get on with it. And I think I was in it because we had a go in Tasmania, didn't we?
We did. We were in a hotel that didn't want anything to do with ghosts, but other people had said it was haunted.
Yep.
So
And
we
the
went into the
woman
haunted
really
one.
wasn't. Oh no, we don't believe in that thing. So we purposely sat in the barn investigating. And she wasn't happy when she walked past. And I had GhostTube on my phone as she walked past. And we were all like,
But Nicole just said, although I think most paranormal apps are just for entertainment and not for serious investigating, there have been times when some of these apps have been close to accurate or ironic in their results.
Yeah, Nicole, it's interesting. So we don't use them, I will say. We don't use them on the tours. Mainly because you've got to be able to trust the app and the programmer and how it's been programmed. Jarrad I know, and I've tried his app, and now he's explained the basis behind it, that there is a basis behind what he's put into the app, I would be more inclined to give it a try more often now, just to see and experiment.
Well, Mel wants to know if she can try it Friday night in lockdown.
Yeah, Mel, you can do that.
Just so long as it doesn't interrupt the tour.
Because,
and stuff like that.
Mel, it's your birthday, so on Friday.
Happy
so
birthday.
happy birthday, Mel. So yes, we'll let you use it in lockdown. So there you go.
I guess if I could give some tips for people that are going to try apps.
Actually, that would be good. Yeah.
One thing I would say is see if the app has any settings to fine tune some of the sensors, because most of the Apple devices use the same hardware, but in Android world there's so many different phone manufacturers and they all have different magnetometers, they all have different cameras, they all have all these different sensors are from different parts manufacturers around the world. And so as a programmer, it's hard to code something that's going to take that into account. GhostTube does have an auto calibration thing for the EMF reader that detects the average reading for the first 5 seconds that you have the app open, and then it says, okay, now that I know how this phone senses is going off and what's normal, that's what I'll use as my basis to say what's a fluctuation and what's not. It didn't have that feature when it first came out, so on Amy's phone the average was sitting around here and that was normal, but on someone else's phone the normal was up here, and so that was something I had to factor in, that there's different parts manufacturers and that used in different phones. So see if the apps have that ability. If you feel like your magnet reading's like way off the screen, like up here, look at that, because some apps, some of those parts are more sensitive than others, based on probably their price point for the phone manufacturers. They probably choose who their providers are.
That actually makes a little more sense as well, because when I was looking up apps today, and I was going to put them on my phones to give them a try today, most of the ghost hunting apps now, like the iOculus, and they're not making for Android. So maybe that explains why, because I guess with the iPhone, that's all you have to do is work with an iPhone, whereas Android, you've got to be dealing with different models. So
in saying that, Apple does have different models, of course, as well, but they have less of them, so it's just easier to cater for. But that was one challenge we had, and so we built in an auto calibration feature, but there's also the ability to adjust it if you feel like it's spiking too much and it's like, this can't be right. You can adjust it to be less sensitive or more. So
Nicole says it's going to be a happy birthday for you, Mel.
Happy birthday. I'm loving the puns on today's
I love the
chat.
puns, guys. Keep them coming.
Is this a regular thing, or is this just
No, this is just for you, Jarrad.
Okay, cool.
We also, somebody just asked about having more words on it, but you said if people ask for more words.
If people ask for it, maybe. The only thing I can really think of adding is names, because the basic words, I feel like, sure, there's probably stuff we haven't thought of, but hello, goodbye, yes, no, all of those are in there. The only thing I could think that people might want more of is particular names, because obviously there's only so many names that are in there. So, but anyway.
Kerry says, do you think it takes ghosts a while to work this stuff out? Like
that's a good question. Or the Oculus, or any of these devices.
When you go in, do you find that the more you're there, the better the results? If they can work it out.
Yeah, I guess if the theory is true and spirits are able to manipulate these to select words from a dictionary, you would think that it would take some trial and error for that entity to work out how close they need to be to the thing to set off a certain word. So I would say that makes perfect sense. If the theory is real, then I think that would be a very valid point. Yeah,
I think so, because as I said, if ghosts are real, because we always hedge our bets though. But I do find, like when we went into Z Ward, the very first time we went in there, first couple of times, we had more audible stuff. It was almost like it had to work the equipment out, and then the equipment, we get a lot more responses now than we used to. So it's almost like it's second nature now, they know what it is.
And we always expect to walk into a place and them to know exactly what to do with it.
Can you light that light up? Can you light this light up? Can you make that go off? And it's like they're probably standing there going, I don't know what it is. So, it's like us with something new, maybe we have to work it out.
Yeah, I think even the devices that Amy uses quite regularly, she'll always sort of say, if you can come up and touch this thing just here, or go to that green light over there, like she'll try to explain what it is. But I guess it's hard to say, go up to this phone and depending on how close you are, it'll say random words, and you know what I mean. Like it's hard to explain how that works to something. So I think it's a very valid point that was raised. Yep.
And Elizabeth said, "Thank you, Jarrad, for the access on the iPad."
Yes, it wasn't available on the iPad up until recently. Yeah.
Cool. That's good.
That was because it looked weird because of the wider screen, and to be honest, I was just too slack to do it for the iPad. So I was like, "Oh, I'll just do it for phones now, and I'll fix the iPad down the track." But yeah, just rolled it out. Glad you liked it.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
Do you think the candle worked more than any other device? The candle?
The candle. So I think what Sonia's referring to is we went to a place in India. It was a palace that had a ghost story behind it, or a haunting behind it, and just to mix things up, we decided rather than use the devices we regularly use, Amy decided to light a candle and say, "Can you manipulate the flame?" And that was just an experiment that we did. I don't think we've done it since. I think that was just there was a candle in the room, so we're like, let's use it, because normally we only have what we bring along with us, and we don't normally have a candle on us. So it was there. I was like, oh, let's use this.
Yeah.
And it was sort of interesting, actually, the way the flame like stretched really, really high on demand almost. Like Amy was saying, can you make it go higher? And it would go higher and then it would come back down.
Okay.
So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I can't say for sure whether it was paranormal or not, but it certainly was quite interesting that it happened when she was asking it too.
Cool.
So I think that's what Sonia's referring to. Do I think it worked more than any other device? That's hard for me to say. It was the only time we've done it. We haven't done it since, so I don't really have enough instances of that to say for sure that it was great. It was just something different to mix it up.
And we've got people downloading it as well now. So
thanks everybody.
It's not the first one. I've seen quite a few doing it.
And you know what, honestly, if you have any feedback on it, in the App Store, all of those reviews, I read and respond to all of them, and also there's a website you can submit feedback if you think there's part of the app that you don't like, or that a feature you'd like to see more, please share. I read all of them and take them all into consideration.
Excellent.
So
Excellent.
Love your comment, Kyle, as well.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to leave it there because I think we've been on an hour now, haven't we? Yes, we have.
well, that was quick.
That was quick. You see, you were so worried.
Yeah.
Oh, gone like that. You did well. All right. I would just like to thank Jarrad for actually coming on, because as I said, he's not used to being in front of the camera, but he did a really good job.
Oh,
so hopefully everybody understands apps a little bit better. Give us all feedback on how you find the GhostTube, and now you just stop myself from saying YouTube again. Sorry.
Gotcha. All good.
I got it right this time. So yeah, with that, if there's nothing else that we need to say.
All good. You're good.
All good.
All good, all good. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for interacting and giving questions and making Jarrad feel really welcome. We've had a blast, so hopefully we'll get him on again at some point, and Amy at the same time, and we'll talk about Amy's Crypt a bit more. Now, if you haven't yet, all right, if you've been under a rock, we've got Amy talking at Easter. So we got the boys from Paranormal Quest coming over from America. So if you haven't watched that show, go and watch it. And Amy, they'll be talking at the Z-Ward on the 10th of April, Good Friday. So we still have tickets for the talk, the afternoon of talk. So if you want to come and talk to Jarrad, and because I'm sure Jarrad
might be
there,
Yeah,
I might be knocking around there somewhere. And Amy, then come along and join us. Unfortunately, the investigations we have, they're all booked out now, but there's still about 20 tickets, I believe, left for the talk. So getting quick, because it's half sold out at least. So make it quick. And of course, we've got so many more things coming through, but we are going to call it a night now, so we will answer. I'm sure Jarrad might come on and answer some of these if we've missed any,
absolutely.
if we've missed your questions. So thank you very much. With that, we are signing off. Of course, now you've got to get me getting up like this and turning this around and turning it off, because we're professional, like,
We are professional.
and I can't reach my phone to turn you off until here she comes. Here comes Amy. Has she got it? Has she got it? Has she got it? Is it off?
It says ending live video. Yeah, ended.
Excellent.
Hey! Cool.
Just in case,
Excellent.
for 30 seconds, we pretend we're still on there. Just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
like the news readers do, you know.
Yeah,
they do this.
exactly. They just do their paper.
It's all right. It's still picking up on me.